Hello YouTube, I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney on this channel. I answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. We have a question here. Let's adjust the camera. Here we go. Somebody messed with my camera. Why would they mess with my camera? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Now, anyways, we have a question here from YouTube user House Bulldog 1122 who asks us, can your attorney sign off on a settlement agreement with you, the plaintiff, saying yes? I assume they mean without you, the plaintiff, saying yes or no. My attorney did, and it was for a settlement I did not want. He says that the defendant's counsel can now file a motion to compel, and I would be responsible for the defendant's attorney's fees. I have not actually signed the settlement. I don't believe it has even been drafted. It was for wrongful termination, FMLA interference, and workers' comp retaliation claim. Okay, so I made a video on this recently, but it seems to be like a recurring theme. If you told your attorney, if you gave your attorney a directive to settle the case for a set amount, and your attorney then accepted that amount, it is possible that you have a settlement in the general notion, and that could be enforced against you. Now, right off the bat, you're going to be like, well, there's two ways to go. Right off the bat, you might be like, I didn't give my attorney authority, in which case the attorney could be in a lot of trouble. And I've got another video on the channel you can check out about that. But if you did give the attorney authority to settle the case, you're like, hey, if you can get me, I don't know, 400 grand, accept it. And your attorney got you 400 grand and accepted it. And then you're like, no, I didn't want to accept 400 grand. I changed my mind. There's arguments you can make that you hadn't seen the settlement agreement yet, you don't have to execute the agreement, all these things, and the attorney can't execute the agreement for you. But it's neither here nor there. It's possible that if the settlement agreement comes and it's all standard terms, it's all what you discuss and checks out, that the court could be like, well, you agreed verbally, so we're gonna hold you to this settlement. This is slightly unlikely. Like, often courts are just like, whatever. You're not negotiating in good faith. We think less of you because you told your attorney to settle, and he did, and now you're trying to back out. But it's whatever. We don't care. You're just not going to get a settlement now, probably. Nobody's going to negotiate with you any further. So, like, I guess maybe this case just goes to trial, or it gets dismissed on summary judgment, or whatever it is, right? And that's really what it comes down to. So, if your attorney settled the case without any directive from you, without any permission from you, that attorney's in a lot of trouble. You will probably be able to get out of that settlement. If the attorney settled your case based on your directive or your permission or whatever it is, that is more likely, but not very likely, to be held as a valid settlement, and you may be held to that settlement. But you can certainly take issue, and the best way to get out of a settlement agreement is to take issue with the most onerous term in your eyes and be like, well, we never discussed this term. We never discussed this term, right? As long as it's true that you never discussed that term. And I don't agree to this. I don't want to agree to confidentiality. I don't want to agree to non-disparagement. I don't want to agree to whatever it is, right? And there's a good chance that the court will just say, well, it appears to be technically true that you didn't talk about this term, and the defense says they would not settle without this term, and you say you would not accept this term, so it sounds like there was not an actual settlement agreement. So, you know, it's a bit of a situation you find yourself in, but I think you've got some solid arguments depending on what went down, and I hope it helps. And that was a pretty quick question. Let's see if I got another one here. Oh, we got Doug from Brooklyn, who asks us, my labor union is clearly representing the interest of my employer. In what scenarios is it beneficial to file against your labor union along with your employer in a retaliation case? What sort of evidence would be useful? Can damages be obtained from a labor union? Thanks. Yes. So you can bring retaliation claims related to workplace discrimination, workplace sexual harassment against labor unions as well. And the analysis is fairly similar. You're looking at, like, do I think the case is more likely than not to win? And if it wins, my goodness, I'm so sorry. I don't have a mute button anymore. If the case is more likely not to win, and if it wins, you think the punitive damages might, be significant, then it makes sense to file the case. Now, a lot of attorneys don't want to take those cases because, one, employment attorneys don't love going after unions because, we love organized labor. But that being said, you got to do what you got to do, right? Like, if the case is valuable and the union's acting up, and listen, half of all unions are amazing. The other half are varying degrees of taking advantage of their members and actively corrupt, right? Like, it's, if you look at the teachers union in New York City, you're like, oh, okay, those are bad people who do bad things to the teachers, right? Like, they're super duper bad, right? If you look at the Teamsters in recent months, wow, are they swinging hard for their people, right? Like, it's just, you can see the difference. You can feel the difference in the energy in the air. I can't stress enough. Like, it's worlds of difference. I believe the head of the Teamsters now is named Sean Fain. I'm getting that correct. He is throwing haymakers. I listened to a thing with him going after Governor Newsom. Newsom got funny with the Teamsters recently. They tangled over the issue of self-driving cars because the Teamsters have, of course, a lot of professional drivers, truck drivers, things of that nature that they represent. So they're very against self-driving cars. And Newsom is very for self-driving cars because I think he allegedly takes a lot of money from companies that promote self-driving cars. So he's, very into self-driving cars for the obvious reasons. But I digress. So yeah, you're essentially you're looking at it like, hey, does this case make sense? Does this narrative hold together? Do I think people will believe me with respect to this case? And then if I do believe that this case is a winner, what are my damages? Is it worth my time? Is it worth my effort? Is it worth the angst and the negativity of going after a union? Because the union will never forgive you. So keep that in mind, right? Excuse me. Until the union leadership changes over, they will never forgive you. And unions do not move on. Like, employers can move on. I've seen employers move on. Unions will harbor resentment in their hearts for you for decades. We were a brotherhood. Well, you can't be a brotherhood anymore because we've integrated the workforce. Diversity is a good thing. But we were a brotherhood. How could you do this to us? You didn't do your job. You literally let me hang out to dry. You didn't help me. I've been paying you dues for 10 years. And you did nothing for me. And then you acted like everything was my fault, even though I had obviously viable claims and I had been wronged. That's why I did this to you, right? And they'll just look at you like, you turned on us. And there's no recognition of the fact that they did bad things to you first. They went after you first. They failed you first, right? They will not ever recognize that. Just trust me, there will never be unions like, you know what? We did fail you. That will never happen. Ever. I don't know why. It's never going to happen. Anyways, I digress. 2 for 1 today. Hope that helps. If these answers were helpful, like, subscribe, comment down below, share the channel so it can grow. Take care, everybody.